Good afternoon. Here we are, middle of November. Unusually warm for us in the middle of November. Right around this time, we normally would have gotten our first frost, but not this year for some reason. And I suspect that's probably because it's going to be an El Nino year, which would mean it's going to be a pretty wet year, which would mean not a whole lot of freezes for us. So, neighbors' trees, deciduous trees. Naturally, the tree sheds its leaves in preparation for winter. Not tropicals, not my trees to be exact. In fact, it's actually, if you come here, it's actually the complete opposite. Right now, most tropicals, being that they originate from a part of the world where it's always practically warm there, are in the process of flushing out new growth and flushing out new flowers. Yeah, ice cream bean, flushing out new flower, middle of November. In addition to holding on its old fruits, it is, again, flushing out new flowers. Insane, huh? Yeah. So that's a bad thing. Well, let me rephrase that. It's a double-edged sword. Mangoes, new growth, okay? That's great. Also, that's really bad. I say that. Well, actually, more examples. Longan, new growth. This is a great thing for the tree. Starfruit, look at that. Flowering, middle of November. The timing is not the greatest when it comes to tropicals in our climate. Just because, again, these guys originate from a part of the world where it is pretty consistently warm. But as we approach winter, though, we want to artificially make it so where they don't spend too much of their resources, their energy, to producing new growth or producing fruits. Instead, what we want is we want to do a couple of things to prepare these guys. Actually, if you come here, this is what I mean by they have a mind of their own in that, look at it, so soft fruits. In that, it's these guys are gonna do what they want to do. There's no stopping them. However, we do want to kind of put a pause in these trees in making it so where we're telling the trees to put a lot of their focus, their energy into making it through winter. So we don't really want these guys to be flowering or fruiting at this point. There's a couple things that we can do. The biggest thing that you probably gonna want to do at this point is, if you haven't already done so, stop feeding them. Do not fertilize them. Right around this time, I mean, you should have, the last fertilization that you should have done is right in the middle of summer. Yeah, right now, do not fertilize your trees. You do not want them to grow. And the reason for that is the new growth. If you come here, let's see. Well, yeah, the new growth on these trees, okay? Right now, it's fine because we have not had any frost yet. But imagine what the frost is going to do to the new growth. It's always the new growth that gets hit by the frost. The old foliage is fine. The old growth is fine. They definitely can take the frost. But the new growth, nope. And you know, this tree spends a lot of time and resources growing, putting a lot of the energy into growing new foliage, and then all it takes is just one frost event to come and just fry all the new growth. So you don't want to do that. So again, do not fertilize. The second thing that you want to do is cut back on your watering if you haven't already totally eliminated it. Now, specific to my situation, because it hasn't yet rained, I'm still watering it, though I cut it back tremendously. In the front yard, during the summertime, I was watering it practically every hour for a couple of minutes. I've since cut that in more than half. So I'm just really just watering it in the middle of the day and maybe towards the evening because it is still pretty warm. So yeah, you still want to keep these guys hydrated. Just no more than hydrated. So now, if you come here, I want to show you, this is what I've been doing in preparation with my seedlings. This is only for seedlings. My seedlings, if you come here, just please excuse the mess. This is my garage, but I'm using it to also as a makeshift temporary sheltered controlled climate. This is all the seedlings that I have. Just because, I mean, at this point, even though it's warm during the daytime to you and I, it's been in the 70s. Nighttime, it's actually been in the low 40s, and that's forecasted probably until we get December. So in preparation, I mean, I just basically created this little section for the seedlings, and you know, of course, on occasion, I just come and just kind of water them down, just increasing the humidity. This is all it's doing. It's simply just increasing the humidity. It's not doing much for them. I do, of course, continue to water the containers. Just because it's in the garage here, there's not a whole lot of evaporation that's happening. So, in my case, I'm able to get away with you know, watering them just every 2 weeks or so. So this is what I've been doing with my seedlings. Is basically just putting them in here in a, this is as close to a controlled climate that I can get. I mean, you're talking about 12 hours of direct artificial sun, of course. And you know, with it close, actually, let me show you. This is literally what it looks like. It is just complete darkness, but of course, you know, you got the sun where the LED lights shining under the foliage, and this is barely enough to keep them alive, which is all I want. It's just, I want these guys to be just kept alive during the summer months. So now I'm going to go and take you to the backyard. Continuing on the protection that I'm providing to some of my trees here, the ultra sensitive tropicals are strategically planted smack right underneath the ice cream bean tree here, right in the middle of the yard, where I'm able to, if you come here, have this little makeshift greenhouse here. Ultra sensitives, we're talking durian, mangosteens, rambutans. It's all in here. So I constructed this little thing a few weeks back. Uh, it's nothing special really. It just the frame is just galvanized pipes with corner connectors, and covering it, of course, is just a 6 mil clear plastic. Nothing fancy. And inside here, of course, is a heater that I have that is set to 55 degrees. So anytime it gets to 55 degrees or lower, it automatically kicks on. And based on the small size of the greenhouse, it has no problem maintaining these 55 degrees. Actually, let me see if I can just show you. Yeah, it's not a pretty sight, but hey, you know what? It gets the job done. Here. Now, one of the benefits I will say is the increased humidity. Actually, yeah, well, you might be able to get it from. Let me see if I can just show it to you. All right, check it out. The increased humidity. This is what is inside this makeshift greenhouse right there. Durian, actually, I'm sorry, mangosteen. There's a rambutan back there somewhere. And this is the guy that I pay close attention to. Yep, right there. That's my little durian there. Yeah, so again, 55 degrees is practically the bare minimum for some of these ultra sensitives. Now, equally important on the side of my yard, which I have yet to do so, this corner of the yard, I'm also going to be constructing a similar greenhouse with tall frames and enclosing the entire frame, of course, in 6 mil plastic, and then putting a heater in here as well. Now, because these trees are fairly large, I'm going to be able to get away with maintaining the temperature at about 40 degrees or so, which is bare minimum. And I say that because if you come here, see this guy? Soursop, one of the extremely sensitive tropicals. I mean, this is core stress and foliage dropping like this. This is core stress. I've just not had the chance to yet build the shelter greenhouse, and that's actually partly intentional because I do. Sounds mean, okay? I do want to stress these guys out, just because when I do that year after year, these guys should harden on their own as they mature. Yeah, I mean, soursop, red custard apple. This is most of the ultra sensitive. Uh, Canistelle, yeah, rock jamboo. Speaking of which, I've been keeping an eye on this guy, loquat. Okay, this is off topic, but yeah, these guys I have never seen them flower in November. These guys are normally towards the end of January. That's when they start flowering. But it's been a very strange year this year. And it's not just my yard, it's throughout the Central Valley and other regions as well. So, so item number 3. So item number 1 was stop fertilizing your trees right around this time. Item number 2 was see if you could lower your watering or just eliminate it completely in preparation for rain. Item number 3 is going to be pruning. As you could see, yeah, I don't just prune for the sake of pruning. There is a method to my pruning. And in this case, chop and drop, Mexican sunflower. I prune so I can use it as mulch. And come spring, once everything breaks down, the nutrient then gets made available to the trees. So yeah, so pruning now is perhaps a good time to prune just because in my case, the green Indian thornless jujube, which was actually flowering. Actually, well, yeah, let me show you. I'll just show you real quick. This is the result. Yeah, I mean, I cut this guy down heavily. Look at this. Look at the amount of sun now that is being exposed. And of course, the papaya is going to love it along with all the other tropicals over here, as well as it's just a good neighborly thing to do, especially when your trees are, you know, escaping the confines of your property. But oh yeah, I mean, Yeah, this was a very productive tree. So, yep, pruning. Now, along the subject of pruning, I've already made arrangements with my contacts for a drop of wood chip. So that should be here any day now. The fourth thing is going to be, now is the best time for you to apply a fresh batch of mulch, wood chip. So as I've mentioned in the past, when these wood chips arrive, they're normally in a state of composting, as in it gets hot. Imagine you're applying a nice sheet of, normally a foot high in my case, worth of wood chip. Keeps the roots of the tropicals nice and warm. And because we're approaching winter, when it rains, it naturally cools it down. It's just a win-win. So yeah, just that's really it. That's what I'm doing in preparation for winter for some of these, is making sure that they don't grow, and also giving them a nice home by the application of mulch. And for the ultra sensitive seedlings, the ultra sensitives that I've just shown you, protecting them when possible. Now that said, there are tropicals that you see here that I can't protect because they're big, they're massive. So everything else, I'm just going to leave to their own device. I mean, look, I keep going back to the ice cream bean, but I've just been like crazy impressed. It's flowering in beginning of winter. Yeah. And Longan, I mean, yeah, everything underneath this mother tree here is not going to have any issues from the frost. So this is the microclimate that I've created. And of course, when you look at the different layers, ice cream bean, the mother tree, and to some extent, these mango, jaboticaba, longan, and then on the very, very bottom of the canopy, lychee. So it's got 3 layers of protection above it and by all sides. So, oh, look, look at that. Completely missed this guy. See, this is the cool thing about tropicals. You just come out and there's a fruit. Just pick it up. So yeah. So that's really all that you can do in the Central Valley. I mean, for the long-term health of the trees, is you kind of do want to stress them out a bit, but at the same time know when they need protection. So, all right, have a good afternoon.